All right. Final score.
Why so
DeathWatch.
sad?
Well, because we're leaving in what?
Because the lists are
5
locked
days?
in.
Yes. And that part doesn't bother me. Final score. DeathWatch 90. Grey Knights 40.
Mm-hmm.
And an attempted gambit.
I think that's historic because I've never seen anybody actually try a gambit before, so that's a big deal.
And honestly, it wasn't even like, oh, I'm just going to try a gambit. It was attempted worth it because, like, with it being within 10 points, the 30 would have put me up to 70 if I would have hit it.
Mm-hmm.
And being with that at 10 points makes it, a little more plausible. But all in all, I do have a lot of actual thoughts about that. While you'd think I would be completely discouraged and like, wow, this tournament's going to be a total wash, I'm not. This was a situation where there's two big factors I think that if I changed up would have completely made this a different game. One, as I said before, my army scores points really well. What I don't do is kill very well.
Right.
And on turn 2, I got way too aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Way too aggressive because I literally looked at the table and I literally said to Lane, okay, I have these easy tactical objectives to score and I have nothing else to do. So let's try and kill some stuff. And that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I was not able to pick up those two, either of the Proteus kill teams, which now, in one hand, holy crap, your dice saves. Like I hit them and hit them and hit them. And you're like, oh, okay, 6 up. Oh, okay, look at that. All right, one at a time, 5, 6, 5, 6.
No,
5,
I did throw
6.
4 or 5 ups in a row. Yeah, that was kind of nice. Just to keep a guy alive.
No, it was not nice at all. It was very mean. Very
depends on whether you're a DeathWatch fan or a Grey Knight.
Shame on you. But no, but that was. But even so, let's assume on the other side of things, okay, I picked up one of the Proteus kill teams. The most it probably would have done was got my Grandmaster out of combat over there to then die to something else. Not really, not game breaking on the other side, not really pushing through on the other side. So adjustments, that's one thing. There was no reason at all for me to get that aggressive.
Yeah.
Because
I think at one point you had one kill, the Proteus kill teams down to 5, and the other was still at full, and you decided to shoot into the full one. I'm like, oh, you really need to finish that one off to at least get one of my assets off the table. So I think there was definitely a time there. But the thing about the Proteus is it's a 10-man team, but if you kill 6 men from it, what you're left with is 3 Terminators that have Cyclone missile launchers and 1 Thunderhammer Storm Shield. So it's still a very potent unit once it gets down to its last couple guys. But yeah, I just feel like you probably put too much out there too soon. Because with this mission, it's really important to look at the mission and not think in terms of, in 9th edition was always the same, hold 1, hold 2, hold more, that sort of thing. Here, with this mission, you only get a maximum of 10 points for holding 2 objectives. So until the end of the game, don't overextend yourself trying to get more than 2 objectives. Hold 2 objectives, hold them really well. And even if you don't score any at the end, it's going to be 10, 10, 10, 10. You'll get 40 points on primary. I think you maybe overextended it a little bit, trying to get more, trying to get into my deployment zone.
I got greedy and wanted to remove you from the table.
Yeah.
I got greedy and I wanted to clear the right flank. And I'm like, oh, okay, here, let me drop my anti-infantry unit and hit. But with Armor of Contempt and everything in that sense, I wasn't able to, Crow and his team wasn't able to do the damage to pick up like I wanted him to.
I did have a spicy Overwatch on them.
You did.
On the Purifiers, where I did pick up 4 guys.
You did. And that takes out 8 of my Purifying Flame shots plus Bolter. Bolter didn't matter, but the Purifying Flame.
Yeah, the AP2 ignores cover is a big deal.
AP1,
but still ignoring cover. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So that was, there was really no reason for me to drop that team in there and bring them guys down that early. I could have held back, pulled back, fallen back a bit, just tagged on the objective, scored the points as it was, as needed to be, and had my resources. I was still able to hurt your primary game, and with this mission and being able to hurt your primary game could have been a different story onto it as well too.
Yeah, that's the weakness of my army right now, and the game I lost, to Necrons at the tournament last weekend was because they just were able to control objectives better than me. All my Terminators are OC1. In the Proteus kill teams, they're still OC1. The firstborn guys are OC2, but there's so many times. Like, let's take a look at our scores here. My turn 2, I got 5 on primary. Turn 3, I got 0 on primary. And then 4 and 5, I got 10
when
and 15 at the end.
Really
but
left,
when I had to control the board. So if I hadn't been able to throttle the damage and take control later, I would have been a lot lower on primary. So it's definitely a weakness of my army. Other than that, it's super mobile and it hits real hard. So
now a testament to the mobility, and that's another thing that I was thinking about even earlier than that, a mistake I made, positioning the Land Raider at center. Positioning the Land Raider at center gave you the ability to go, okay, where do I want to play this game from? Had I taken the Land Raider and just where it was here and put it completely over here in the corner and let it reel out and roll and stuff like that, now anything that you bring in for line of sight, it's going to put the game all the way over here for you, as opposed to now these 3 objectives over here.
Yeah.
So now if you go and stay over there, now it's less onto that
distraction Land Raider.
Right. So there was kind of a misplay in that of I could have if I deployed the Land Raider better and put it on either, or over here, or just tucked it into the corner over here, but gone into one of the corners with the Land Raider and not centered it. That was a mistake right there, because that just gave you the ability to, again, be able to cover the field, and I can't outrange you at all, period, end of it. And so in being in that position, not being able to maneuver the board and manipulate things to what I can do with Grey Knights and tag those objectives, I was kind of playing into your game, very much so. And again, yes, I was able to, with I had just enough back here. Now, granted, now if your Proteus kill teams aren't distracted by all this other stuff going on here, they could have moved back and started trying to kill those guys. Needless to say, where you were as far up and where my interceptors were, I still would have had at least that 1 turn to stay away, because you would not have been able to get the good guns to the other side of the wall to shoot those guys down. And then at that same time, to move in to get close to them, bam, I spend the command point and pop them back up.
Yeah.
And now we're getting into that circle where I got the Calidus out there, but I was way too aggressive into that. I saw a unit of infantry.
You oughtn't to have killed my Calidus, because that made all of my DeathWatch very angry. She was our favorite. She was our mascot.
But I got very greedy at the Proteus kill teams. Wanted to take them out. I'm like, okay, I got this. I got the anti-infantry. Got it. The damage in that wasn't the right weapons to go into it.
Yeah. I mean, those guys weren't even cover either. My Proteus kill teams. So, and part of the trick with my army is being able to scoop up those guys, just like Grey Knights do, and redeploy them. But that allows me, I don't have to get close to you, so I'm not triggering your Grey Knight runaway strats. And because I can pick up and drop down on my next movement phase and my next reinforcement step, I can get eyes on things in ways that they don't get cover. For example, turn 1, I was able to get those 2 Proteus kill teams on the Land Raider in a way that it didn't get cover, which is tricky to do a lot of times, because sometimes it's very easy to park your vehicles and whatnot, so they're getting some kind of cover. But
there was 2 places I could have parked that vehicle to get myself cover, and really neuter that, and been at a point where it's like, okay, now my Land Raider is alive. Now with where the Dread Knight was being over here, if you would have come into this side, been onto that, now you have the Dread Knight there to deal with as well. And Dread Knight hits like a truck.
Yeah.
Dread Knight still hits like a truck. So, yeah.
And part of it, too, is, like I said, this is the 3rd time I've played your Grey Knights. I've learned your tricks. Even if you explain to someone in a tournament or beforehand what all your tricks are, they're not going to remember them all. My army was a perfect play into this, and this mission advantaged me, because it was really a kill more mission, in the sense that if you just hold more objectives at the end of the game, you get all these bonus points. And that was perfect for me. As we can see, I would, with the last advance of the land speeder, tank shocking, I was able to table you, but I still had well over 1,000 points on the table. So this one definitely advantaged me in that sense. There are definitely other missions that would advantage you even more.
Oh, there's one that really doesn't advantage me, and that's that one where we can't deep strike onto objectives. That one's going to be rough, and that's one I'm looking to try and practice and play out this week to see how some of that stuff goes. But
I think rapid ingress might be the way around that. There's a rapid ingress off of it, and then move on to it in your movement phase.
Possibly. I mean, that's one little way into it. I don't know if I'll have the command points to run that with rapid ingress.
Mm-hmm.
That's one CP. Is it one CP or two for
It's
rapid
one
ingress?
CP. Do your Terminators get the teleport home, or is that only a Space Marine thing?
Only Space Marine thing.
Okay, then,
Yeah.
yeah. That
No.
benefits me and not you.
Yep. But no, I'm not too discouraged by it. I think that one thing that this definitely does is like I played a lot of sports growing up. A lot of sports. And a lot of times in practice, you get to a point where you're like just everything always is working right and everything is going very, very well. And you start to get ahead of yourself. I'm sure I'm trying to think of some word that I'm forgetting right now, but you start getting not arrogant, not egotistical, but um, you're overconfident,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And that was a point where I was starting to get like, because against Imperial Knights, I left you with two knights, not even two knights, a knight and an armature.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Votan, I basically tabled you. And we're looking at knights. Everyone's like, oh, Grey Knights, they can't do the damage, can't do damage. And now here we go. Here is an army that is more up to, not that knights aren't, but this was more into what we're going to see going into the tournament, going into it and saying, hey, whoa. Yes, you've done some damage, but part of the reason I did that damage was playing defensive, picking on stuff. And so getting aggressive, getting way too aggressive into this, needing to see that, dial it back a bit, and play my game.
Mm-hmm.
And that time I didn't play my game. I played your game.
Yeah.
You
tried to kill me, which is a mistake. I mean, I'm not Eldar, I'm not Imperial Knights, but I think the DeathWatch are probably the killiest Marines right now. I know they're pretty highly ranked among the other Marines as far as their win rate, but I feel like just especially when it comes to shooting, I have so many strats and so many ways to just buff. I mean, crack missiles that are up to AP4 is kind of ridiculous. Mm-hmm. They still need to roll those fives against most vehicles, but just the volume I have of them and then being able to buff them, making me even more. And against hordes, I do really well because I can turn those crack missiles into frag missiles, and instead of doing the extra AP, just make them anti-infantry 2-up with a similar strat. So it goes, it gives them that flexibility too in other armies. But yeah, I definitely kill. I mean, in the tournament this past weekend, I was able to pick up a Castellan turn one, even though I had 1,000 points in Deep Strike. And I was able to table knights in 4 turns, and there were 2 Castellans that I was able to pick up. Like that's a significant amount of damage output. Being able to, and I was able to table Custodes as well. Near table, there was one 5-man squad left on the table, but the damage output in my army is pretty extreme among most of the armies right now, I think. So
no, I agree. Like it was, there was a lot of times where I was like, okay, I got armor contempt, and then everything else starts piling onto it. And it's like, okay, here's our AP2. Now we're at AP3. Here's more multi-damage weapon. And it's just over and over and over again. And while one Proteus kill team got kind of walled, then the next one gets walled, but wait a minute, you're still chipping away at it. And then the third one hits, and it's like, okay, now that unit's gone. And I don't have a lot of units to do that with. I don't have the units to then trade back against you and trade back against those units. So I needed to make you run around the field trying to get extra resources over there and all this stuff. And another big thing that I noticed as well too, which I was considering early on, was when you spent the command point to pick the unit up and put them and deep strike them down. I was considering vexing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'll get something else, into it. And I was considering it, but now I know going into the next matchup and the next time we do this, that's going to be the first thing. It's like, bam, vex that. Okay, now it slows you down, and now play my game. Because I don't have to spend CP to pick all that stuff up usually, except for missed, just on the one that I missed. But I don't have to do that. And put it in a position where you don't have a choice but to move at me because I'm too far away, or you're just making 9-inch charges all game, and keep forcing you to commit and just pick them up, keep picking up and going. And I really really needed to not get as aggressive as I did. So, and that's realistically, that's all it was. I mean, at the end of my day. Now, is that saying like, oh, don't get aggressive, I just win the game? No. I'm saying don't get aggressive, and now the point total goes closer, and I'm not tossing
Yeah.
a gambit out there.
Yeah, you just have to be more cagey with the Grey Knights right now. And like I said, in this mission, hold 2 objectives. That's it. Don't try to hold any more than that.
Yep. And I had them. I had those 2 objectives all the way through it.
And then you went for this one. Oh, I'm going to try and bring it down by running a 5-man interceptor squad into a tank.
Well, no. To be fair, the interceptors that I put out in the corners. I probably still would make that play because I was engaged on all fronts.
Mm-hmm.
So I was scoring the points on engage on all fronts. Then I got to shoot. Then I got to move deeper in and be more protected. And I mean, honestly, the one on the left side, that whirlwind just got mad. That whirlwind got angry because I've shot in 5-man Marine squads with whirlwinds before, and they have not been that efficient. That one just said, no, get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
No. But again, like the one that was over here. Now that one, after shooting at the Calidus and doing all that stuff and then moving forward, you had to move towards them to get rid of them. You would have had to come near me to get rid of them and to be within range of a charge and do all of that stuff. You would have had to get over by them, which would have allowed me to pick them up and get them off the table after doing the engage on all fronts. And then over here, back on my side, when I brought the Terminators out, once again, I didn't have to. I could have probably scooted the Terminators out this way, shot at you, and stayed back a little bit. And then, in combat, you're not going to do as much as shooting, especially in the Terminators.
Mm-hmm.
So then if you shoot at them, bam, I pick them up and get them off the table. And I think that was definitely part of it. Also, big thing now that as we're talking about this and I'm thinking about, after those Proteus kill teams landed, and then I spend the command point and use the Vex so that you have to spend 2 command points to get them back again. And then they're there. I could have picked up my Terminators, let you have this corner, and stayed and focused over there. Focused where there was just one whirlwind, that stuff. Got away, picked everything up, moved over that side. And then when your Terminators land, that's where Castle and Crow could hit. Because now when there are 2 5-man Terminators hit, now that damage isn't going on to a bike, a little dude and gun beforehand. Now it's just going straight through to the Terminators. Mm-hmm. And then now it's like, okay, well, these squads, you're going to have to save some command points to be able to pick them up and get them over there. Or I'm going to be able to have time to clear that flank before the Proteus kill teams get over there. Proteus kill teams get over there, clear everything, and game ends. Now I can score my points. It's going to be a struggle with Grey Knights. And I knew that going into this. Yeah. I knew going into this that this is going to be a struggle. But I needed this reality check and slap in the face to go, hey, chill. You don't have the damage output. And I don't. Mm-hmm. And I needed to run into that. Rather do that now than this weekend.
Make your mistakes now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then hopefully we'll try to see if we can get some games this week, but those are going to be much more quick and throw the dice and, oh, this isn't working out, turn 3, stop, reset, and go back onto it. This would have definitely been a game that after I did nothing on turn 2, I would have probably, if we were just doing a practice game, that's probably where I would have said, okay, you win, let's reset.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, sometimes there's not a whole lot of value in playing out the entire game. Obviously, for you guys to see what's going on, we want to talk through and present the score and everything. But when we're just training and practicing for a game, or for a tournament, a lot of times we play 1 or 2 turns, and then we've learned all we need to learn at this point.
Yep.
I know. Yep. The only thing I would really do differently, though, is probably put that speeder in deep strike because I had enough points.
Yeah, that was not. That was just. It was
I was hoping I could get eyes on it. It didn't really do anything all game other than help pick off a couple guys in the corner. So.
Yeah, it was.
But I would rather have that extra AP into a Terminator brick instead of something else. So, but that's fine. Like I said, I'll remember that for next time.
Yeah, especially with like the terrain layouts and stuff like that. And like we said, hopefully I'll be able to make it out your way, and we can try and run this again, and we'll see. Maybe I'll have a little bit better results into that. But no, I mean, I knew Grey Knights is going to be a struggle going into it. Mm-hmm. It's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough. Like, I'm not going to be allowed to make mistakes like that. Like, the only way I'm going to be successful is literally playing perfect games. And that's just going to have to stop, take a second, And the good thing is, like you said, with us recording and doing all this stuff, there is a lot of extra time to it that when we go to the tournaments and stuff, like especially the last tournament I went to after recording, my game's a lot faster than it was before. So hopefully that'll give me enough time to actually stop, slow everything down a little bit, look at the field, and biggest thing is I don't need to kill anything. Just do what the mission wants me to do. And that's tactical on both sides.
Yeah, that's the biggest takeaway I have at 10th at this point is read the mission, because certain ones score in times you don't expect to, or some of the secondaries you don't realize. And like we just explored with this one, when placing these, oh, I could place the one in my opponent's deployment zone and put them out in the open. So read through it thoroughly. Don't skip the blah, blah, blahs, especially on secondaries. I know somebody in the tournament this past weekend ended up realizing after the game that the secondary that they pulled turn 1 and actually went on was one they weren't supposed to do. So they failed to score that. They could have shuffled it back in the deck and didn't, because they didn't read the entire thing. So just make sure you read everything.
I did that our last game too, on one, because of the fact that I could score it in. Mine was more of like I read it slightly wrong into it, because you could score. It's the one where you hold your own home objective, and then you score it. But because I scored it, I went because of the fact that you went or something. It scored in later. That didn't catch that, and so we went and did that instead, where I should have shuffled it back in. Man, this one, my first turn, my secondary sucked. I wish I would have. That was one thing too. Is like with my army, like I like to have decent or scoreable secondaries right off rip, and behind enemy lines is not a secondary I can score turn 1 when I go first. Like that was both sides of the coin.
It's tough for a lot of armies. Yeah,
both sides of the coin were against me on that one.
Yeah.
Ooh, huge. I definitely would have preferred going second in that scenario, but oh man. So wrapping things up, that was painful. That was painful to say the least.
Yeah, it was a game.
But we're gonna have those, especially trying some stuff out. Like that was not. I did want to see Crow and his squad hit, and I saw that they didn't. So yeah, definitely happy to see it now, not later. And so now when I ask people to wish me luck, now I'm saying really wish me luck, because this is going to be a struggle. So, any closing thoughts, Lane?
The good news is we will both get to play 5 games of Warhammer this weekend.
Yes. Oh boy, it's gonna be. Oh boy, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Praying I don't run into too many Eldar.
Well, just lose your first game, and then it gets easier from there out.
I
think you have a game into Eldar because your volume of shots will pick up their infantry.
But I don't really have any defense against some Warlords.
Yeah, that's everybody though.
Yeah,
other than maybe Custodes, but
fair. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed the battle report and this slobber knocker Lane just put me through. And please like, share, subscribe, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching.